Shannon, did Nick Nurse make the right choice here?
Well, Skip, you got to look at it how he's looking at it. To you and I, it may be the wrong decision because you got Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. You're like, well, hell, I'd rather have two as opposed to one because it looks like all indication James Harden's not going to give you another hometown discount. So he's probably on his way out of Philly. So, but you do have Joel Embiid, the reigning MVP. And so I think that's how you have to look at it. They've been adversaries. They've gone back and forth. Skip, remember Nick Nurse's team knocked them out when when Kawhi hit that shot. They rolled around the rim like forever to go down. Joel Embiid got his revenge back the following a couple of years ago when they knocked them out in the first round. But Nick Nurse has done a great job defending Joel Embiid. He once held him to 0 points in a game.
He did.
So they go back and forth. They have this kind of like a love-hate relationship where they go back and forth about the calls through the media. So did he make the right decision? The East, you got Milwaukee, you got the Bucks. I mean, the Heat, they're always going to be tough, and you got the Celtics. You go to the East, I mean, the West, Skip, the West loaded. The West loaded. The West loaded. I think he made the right decision, Skip. I think he made the right decision.
Okay. So, big picture, Philly just went from a Doc to a nurse. Right? Okay.
Were they on the same staff at one point in time? Did they ever work with each other?
Probably. I think so. I just know that Nick Nurse was the G League coach for Daryl Morey when they were with the Rockets, when Daryl was the GM of the Rockets. So they have a working relationship, and I'm sure they have a good relationship.
Right.
Okay, so big picture for me, I'd say, man, if I had a choice between living in Phoenix and living in Philadelphia, I think I'm taking Phoenix. That's just me. But once upon a time, I would have laughed at this decision because I was the biggest Kevin Durant fan. I'm also an Embiid fan, pushed him for MVP this year. We know how that turned out. But the point is, I was not shocked that Nick Nurse said, you know what? Maybe it's kind of lesser of two evils, but I'm going to bet on Joel Embiid over Kevin Durant. Joel is 5 years younger, but here's the key. Both of these guys have been hurt and hurt and hurt some more between Kevin and Joel. Kevin Durant has now played, this is regular season and playoffs, 1,152 NBA games. Joel has played only 447. So he's younger in two ways, in actual chronological years, age, but also just in games, he's half as young, right? Because it's 447 to 1152. So Nick Nurse is saying, yes, I got a chance here. I got a chance with Joel. He's just now coming into his own. Well, as you always say, it's always something with Joel Embiid. He's hurt or sick, sick or hurt, sick or hurt. And then right on schedule, the second to the last game as they were sweeping Brooklyn, it was game 3. He falls under, as you say, he's always falling. He falls all over the floor. He weighs 330 pounds or whatever he weighs, and he's crashing on the hardwood. And he crashed and he tore something in his knee. And he probably needs to get it fixed, but we'll see how that turns out. The point is, maybe I'm a little bit of a prisoner, as I think you were of last night on Jaylen Brown. I'm still a prisoner of Game 6, Phoenix, against Denver, where I'm saying, Kevin, either you or Book, at home, you got to take this back to Denver for Game 7 because Chris Paul, I was told, was right on schedule to come back for a Game 7. And I kept reminding you, when Chris Paul was playing against Denver in Game 2 in the third quarter, he'd made all 3 of his shots, and he was a plus 19, and they were up 3 points late in the third, and he pulls his groin. Okay, so maybe if he'd come back for Game 7, maybe they would have been able to pull off a win at Denver. Maybe unlikely, but I would have given him a good shot. The point is, Kevin Durant was pretty horrible in much of that series, but especially in Game 6, he started looking a little old to me. And I question, does he really care? Is it a priority now to win another championship? Because he went back-to-back in Golden State. He was the MVP of the finals. Is he just enjoying hooping now because he loves to work on his craft and play basketball? Is he as driven as he once was to win championships? I don't think he's quite as driven. He probably would never say that or admit that, and he'll probably take me to task on Twitter, but I don't care because I don't see it. I couldn't see in his body language in Game 6 that he was driven to win that game. So my point to you is, I think Nick Nurse is carefully watching and saying, I think I got a little better right now with better chance with Joel right now than I do with Kevin, even with Devin Booker and whatever they're going to do in Phoenix. I like my chances because I like the East better than the West. And he obviously knows the East a little better than he knows the West. Okay. So I got it. And I'm happy for Philadelphia. I hope they let James go. I don't think he's a winning basketball player.
Well, then what are you going to get in return?
Okay, well, you got Tyrese Maxey, who's on the verge of stardom. To me, I think he didn't get enough run last year because James has the ball so much. And then you have an option to go get I don't know who else you could go add, but you could go ahead and mix and match. Because if Joel has another year like he just had in the regular season, he's going to be right in the middle. It'll probably come down to him and Joker again for the MVP.
Yeah.
And I still like Joel's chances. I think you can go places with Joel. And again, you got Boston maybe teetering a little bit. Milwaukee's got a new coach and a whole new direction. Let's see how that turns out. And Miami is still overachieving. So he's saying we could win this.
So to make a long story short, you out on KD?
Well, let's just say this. I'm not in on him. Well, you haven't heard me say he's the best player on the planet. Have I said that lately? No.
Well, he hadn't been that in a very long time, if ever. But okay.
If ever. Well, he was in 2017 and 2018 because he proved it.
No.
In LeBron's house, he proved it.
Just because somebody won Finals MVP, that doesn't make him the best player. No, it does not.
Even though he went in and beat you at your own game in your house in Game 3.
What
back-to-back years. Back-to-back years. Whew.
But, Skip, you still don't give Steph Curry and the Warriors, you won't give them any credit.
Only because they flew all the way across the country to get down on bended knee and say, please save us.
Well, Skip, I want you to go to Jane Kicklighter's house in Glenville. You go like, how? I don't know the directions. Kevin Durant gave him the directions to his house. How the hell they know where to go?
Well, he was staying in somebody else's house.
But I'm saying he told them where to come.
Yeah. Well,
in Sag Harbor, right?
They needed it.
He gave them the address.
Because they knew they could not deal with that big Joker in Cleveland, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it took 4 of them to jump him coming out the arena.
But it took one.
Don't do that.
It just took one.
But hold on.
You know it, and I.
That's all it took?
Yeah.
So when he left there, how many times has he been back to the finals since he left there?
Yeah. What would have happened if Kevin Durant hadn't gone to Golden State? LeBron has 2 more rings. He does.
So think about it.
Yeah.
So that means what?
That means Kevin Durant was the best player on the planet.
So what about Steph?
Okay. He's pretty good. He won a couple of MVPs. LeBron was in the conversation, but Kevin just said, nope, I got this.
I don't think really anybody. I mean, come on, Skip. Even now, come on, man. I mean, we're not trying to diminish Kevin Durant, but he did go to Golden State. He joined a 73-9 team. 73-9. They went 67-15 the year before that.
And lost a 3-1 lead to LeBron.
Yeah. Hold on. Your guy lost a 3-1 lead first.
Thanks to Russell Westbrook.
And I haven't get that to come on, Skip.
You know I'm right about
that. No. That's when Russ was young and athletic. Russ could do that thing. Russ was doing it. You ought to be ashamed of yourself, man. Stop
make those turnovers. Like
don't do that. Don't do that, Skip. Don't do that man like that. That man was balling back then.
All right. Way to go, Nick Nurse.
Nick Nurse and Joel Embiid, guys. I'm very curious how that official introduction is going to go. Because, Joel's had some beef with Nick Nurse, accusing him of whining about foul calls.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that'll be an interesting